Hi, Lauren here. Let's do our investing series. And today it's, investing 101. However, this can be kind of an advanced topic because usually it's brushed over in investing 101. And we're going to briefly talk about worst case scenario. And it's something no one ever wants to talk about. Usually when you hear people investing, they're always talking about optimizing this and making this more efficient and this better and make more money and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I like talking about best case scenario, much better. And it's makes for a better story, or makes for a better ego story, I should say. And let's be honest, investors love ego. I mean, most of us do, but investors, I'd say, in particular, like to talk about all their accomplishments and how amazing they are and best case scenarios and anecdotal evidence on their investment because they had a great quarter. And a quarter does not make up the entire year, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a quarter. So let's chat about worst case scenario. And when you are looking at a property investment, so not only do you want to look at, I'd say, realistic numbers and then optimized numbers, because we're really good at optimizing because we're like, ooh, we can shed a little off the bottom here and we can curve this and make this look pretty, and we optimize our numbers. But what happens when literally everything hits the fan, if you will? And so it's always appropriate to calculate or at least address worst case scenario. And worst case scenario, you usually can't plan for it. So it's planning for the unplanned and the not fun. And so a lot of us want to brush over it because it's not fun. However, Warren Buffett has some, good one-liners and basic principles, and that they're tried and true, even at his level, my level, everybody's level. It's the risk-reward ratio. And when you invest, you want to make sure your ratio is in balance. So the level of risk is also in proportion to the level of reward, which means if it's a high risk situation, it better be high reward. You don't want a high risk, low reward situation. And even better yet, you want a low risk. And even if it has a low reward, it's still okay because it's a low risk. But you really want low risk, high reward. And it goes back to the adage of buy low, sell high. And so often we buy high and sell low because we panic. And that would be kind of the worst case scenario. And so when looking at investment properties now, I always try to consider worst case scenario. And I had a nice wake up call in 2020 on worst case scenario because I own an investment property, which is actually my favorite home that I own, and I love it. And it was, I did buy it. It was an emotional decision. When I bought it, it was supposed to be a family home, and then life didn't work out. I can tell you all about all the things that didn't work out, which would also go into the worst case scenario. It was like anything and everything prevented my family and I from living in this beautiful home we spent 4 years building. And then 2020 happened, where the island has been closed and it has been converted into a rental. Even though it is my favorite home, it's where I want my family to be, cards just didn't work out. And so now I converted it into a short-term rental, or it's been a short-term rental for about 2 years now. And when I'm going over numbers, they were starting to look pretty good. First year is always a little rough, but then I was really looking forward to it. And then, I was like February of 2020, I'm like, man, this is going to be a great year. We have so many bookings. And then 2020 happened, the world shut down, the island closed, and now you can't really get on or off the island. Everything has been canceled. It's been almost a year now, and nothing. And so I would say I got to experience a worst case scenario where even my worst case scenario numbers didn't happen, because I've had almost zero bookings, so no money coming in, but I still have my normal maintenance, wear and tear. The house has survived 2 hurricanes, not 1, but 2 hurricanes in 2020. So it's like, knock them when they're down. And so when you're doing investments, it is so important to look at worst case scenario and talk to other investors. I mean, a lot of them probably, I don't know, give them a couple drinks and they'll probably start telling you the truth. And I am really good at being honest and open and telling you all the ways I've screwed up in an attempt so you won't have to learn the hard way like I do. So thank you guys for tuning in.